Our changing climate has put the global food supply in the spotlight. The need to increase productivity while reducing greenhouse gas emissions has never been so urgent. In Denmark, numerous innovations are unfolding, driven by collaborative partnerships and public-private investments. Decades of environmental regulation have primed the Danish food and agriculture sector for ever better efficiency, producing higher yields with fewer resources and emissions. With a national ambition to achieve climate neutrality by 2045, innovation across the entire food value chain is crucial. Danish farmers often serve as living labs to help innovation on its way. Thanks to their involvement in pilot trials, the latest innovative technologies like advanced manure handling and precision farming, reducing nitrogen loss, are rapidly taken into widespread use. New climate-efficient crops are both capturing and storing CO2 in the soil and securing yields in the face of drought. As a major source of greenhouse gas emissions, livestock production is a particular innovation area. Here, methane from cow babs is one of the challenges in focus. In livestock production, the goal is to reduce the carbon footprint of feed. Danish breeding organizations, feed industries, and research institutions are collaboratively making strides in this area. Within food processing, loss and waste prevention and plant-based foods are key to making the best possible use of all produce. Danish ingredient companies are effective partners in this regard, keeping food products fresh and safe to eat and creating value from food side streams. By unlocking the protein in cereal crops, biosolutions are also inspiring the development of sustainable plant-based foods. In pursuit of climate neutrality, decarbonizing food processing is underway. This is where Danish technology suppliers are a great support, enabling food producers to move towards renewable energy and electrification. Denmark's long tradition for cross-sector research and innovation is a firm foundation for solving today's climate challenges. Collaboration accelerates change. Join our journey towards the solutions of tomorrow.
We are very pleased to welcome all of you and participants from all over the world at today's Global Food Talk. We have guests with us from the United States, United Kingdom, New Zealand, Kenya, Vietnam, and many, many more. Welcome, all of you. The aim with our series of these online Global Food Talks is to address how the world ensures safe and healthy food for everyone in a sustainable way. My name is Lise Valbom, and I'm the CEO of Food Nation. And Food Nation is a public-private partnership. And I've been looking very much forward to welcome all of you here today at Food Nation's Visitor Center in Copenhagen. Today's talk is held in conjunction with the United Nations World Creativity and Innovation Day, and we host this Global Food Talk in partnership with our sister organization, Creative Denmark. The aim of the day is to raise awareness of the role of creativity and innovation in all aspects of human development. So I would like to quote United Nations to begin with. Innovation is essential for harnessing the economic potential of nations. Innovation, creativity, and mass entrepreneurship can provide new momentum towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. It can provide solutions to some of the most pressing problems, such as poverty, eradication, and elimination of hunger. So this Global Food Talk seeks to address the role that creativity and innovation holds in the whole agri-food value chain, including farmers and the private sector. We believe that by curious conversations and ambitious meetings, we can progress with the green transition. Denmark has an old-age tradition for being an agriculture and food nation, and today we use our expertise to drive change with a clear perspective on meeting the climate challenges we are all facing. So with this introduction, let's talk, and let today's Global Food Talk inspire all to initiate actions all over the world. I would like to introduce today's speakers. We have with us Minister Jacob Jensen. He is the Minister for Food, Agriculture and Fisheries. Jamie Adams, Senior Advisor for International Affairs and US Aim for Climate Lead at the US Department of Agriculture. Ole Tonke, Undersecretary for Development Policy from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Denmark. Michael Sølner, Chief Sustainability Advisor, Export and Investment Fund of Denmark. Birgitte Skadhauge, Vice President, Carlsberg Research Laboratory, Carlsberg Group, Research and Development. And also David Henstrøm, CEO from Unibio Group. I think it is safe to say that our guests all hold a deep motivation and hands-on experience with innovation and creativity within the agri-food sector. Creating change towards a more sustainable future is important for all of our speakers here today. And collaborating across borders is the way to do just that. With their insights in food production, the agriculture sector and research, and how companies and organizations are working with new ways of facing the challenges, I have looked very much forward to presenting our first guest. It is my distinct pleasure to now present our opening speaker. This is Mr. Jacob Jensen, who has been serving as a Minister for Food, Agriculture and Fisheries in the Danish government since 2022. The Danish government is taking action both nationally and internationally in order to contribute to lowering agriculture's share of greenhouse gas emissions. Mr. Jensen is heading a ministry with a monumental task at a critical time, and we are honored to have his contribution for today's Global Food Talk. I will now give the word to Minister Jensen, who is with us on a video.
I'm pleased to be part of this Global Food Talk on the role of creativity and innovation in the green transition of food production. Globally, we are facing a number of challenges involving our food systems. As world population growth, the Earth resources are under increasing pressure. Furthermore, the climate crisis is accelerating. The path forward demands innovation and creativity. Public and private sectors must come together in collaboration in order to multiply and further develop our combined strength. Denmark has set ambitious goals for the transition to a greener, more sustainable future. We have adopted a legally binding target to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 70% in 2030 based on 1990 levels, and to be carbon neutral by 2050. And we have a broad political agreement aiming to cut emissions in 2030 from agriculture and forestry by 55 to 65% compared to the level of 1990. We have set up several ways to help creativity and innovation within the agri-food sector to blossom. A long tradition for research and innovation and strong private-public partnerships makes Denmark a leading player in the green transition of food and agriculture. We have implemented a strategy for plant-based food as the first country in the world. The strategy includes over 90 million euros to the most creative and innovative ideas for a more plant-rich diet. We have increased investments in research and development in new green technologies, in improved manure handling and feed additives that can reduce greenhouse gas emissions without compromising animal welfare. And in biosolutions, where we aim to keep Denmark and Danish companies at the forefront of these very promising technologies. The aim is to promote both green and economically sustainable development throughout the sector. But Denmark is a small country. We must collaborate across nations to unlock potentials and convert global challenges into opportunities. I hope that today's Global Food Talk can contribute by highlighting new actions and inspirations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Jensen, for these valuable insights into the current and future steps that Denmark is taking to address the sustainable transformation through innovation and creativity. I'm sure that some of the solutions that the Minister highlighted are an inspiration for many of us participating here today. The broad political agreement, the legally binding targets, the strong tradition for research and public-private partnerships. At the same time, I really appreciated Mr. Jensen addressing the need to collaborate, acknowledging that Denmark is a small country. And this is why I'm so pleased that we have more than 24 nations participating here with us today. So let's move on in the program and let's do our best to fulfill the wish of the Minister, to highlight new actions and inspiration through this talk. Now, it is my distinct pleasure to present our keynote speaker of today. Mrs. Jamie Adams, who is Senior Advisor for International Affairs at the US and US lead at the Agriculture Innovation Mission for Climate from the US Department of Agriculture, USDA. Mrs. Adams is responsible for overseeing the cross-country collaborative project AIM for Climate, which Denmark has also joined. The Agriculture Innovation Mission for Climate is a joint initiative by the United States and the United Arab Emirates. AIM for Climate seeks to address the climate change and global hunger by uniting participants to significantly increase their investment in and other support for climate-smart agriculture and food system innovation over the years from 2021 to 2025. I would like to give the word to Mrs. Adams, who is with us on a video.
Greetings. It is an honor to be here with you today. My name is Jamie Adams, Senior Advisor at the U.S. Department of Agriculture. I extend my sincere gratitude to Chief Executive Officer Lisa Vettelboom and the entire team at Food Nation Denmark for hosting this pivotal event on the theme of securing reliable and sustainable food systems through innovation and creativity. It is essential to recognize that this event is being held in conjunction with the UN World Creativity and Innovation Day, which seeks to raise awareness of the role of creativity and innovation in all aspects of human development. Public and private investment in agricultural research and development has long been a driver of prosperity and resilience. And it has never been more important as agriculture and food systems around the world face a range of unprecedented and emerging challenges. Agricultural research, development, and deployment have been essential in creating solutions to enhance productivity and nutrition security while enabling us to adapt to challenges like the pandemic, water insecurity, soil health, and conflict. In fact, USDA studies have estimated that each dollar invested in federal agricultural research results in $20 of economic impact. These benefits are widely shared across the economy, benefiting not only agricultural communities, but also consumers who pay less for more abundant and diverse foods. There's a broad array of technologies, some emerging and some still in development, that will better enable the agriculture sector to tackle climate change. A range of emerging and in development technologies holds promise for enhancing agriculture's ability to combat climate change, such as enhanced efficiency fertilizers, genetic improvements in plants and animals, innovations in food waste management, and advancements in manure management, just to name a few. These innovations and others improve the economics of farming and reduce the pressure to bring new lands into production. At the same time, they can play a role in reducing emissions and storing carbon. It's also about going farther faster. We must also make sure new technologies and approaches transfer into the field in a way that producers, large or small, can access and apply. Ambitious investment in climate-smart agriculture and food systems innovation will help create a surge of solutions, enabling the world to meet nutritional needs, increase agricultural productivity, improve livelihoods, conserve nature and biodiversity, build resilience to climate change, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and sequester carbon. And when climate-smart agricultural innovations are designed with users in mind, these cascading benefits can increase equity by providing more tools to people across the agriculture and food value chain. Investment in agricultural research and development, again, has been a long driver of prosperity and resilience, and it has never been more important as agriculture and food systems face a range of unprecedented challenges. For this reason, the United States and the United Arab Emirates created the Agriculture Innovation Mission for Climate, or AIM for Climate, at the United Nations Climate Change Conference in Glasgow, COP26, and AIM for Climate now has over 600 partners and is growing rapidly. AIM for Climate is focused on driving more rapid and transformative climate action in the agricultural sector, empowering agricultural innovation to be part of the solution to address the climate crisis, build resilience to its impacts, and create co-benefits of climate action in all countries. Since launching at COP26, AIM for Climate partners have increased investment in climate-smart agriculture and food systems, accelerated innovation, and communicated the impact of these investments. Together, AIM for Climate partners have achieved incredible results. Since launch, AIM for Climate partners have mobilized $17 billion in climate-smart agriculture and food systems innovation. This is an increase over a 2020 baseline, so an increase of $17 billion since 2021 at COP26, launched over 70 private sector-led innovation sprints, and again formed a historic climate-smart agriculture coalition with over 600 partners, including 55 government partners. These impressive figures demonstrate a strong global commitment necessary to address the challenges of food insecurity and climate change. And I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all AIM for Climate partners, particularly the government of Denmark and Food Nation, for their unwavering commitment and support. We appreciated the support from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Food, Agriculture and Fisheries, and Food Nation for joining us at the AIM for Climate Summit last year in Washington, D.C. for hosting an exhibit and breakout session. By bringing partners together toward a common goal, AIM for Climate enables knowledge and information sharing, public-private and cross-sectoral partnerships, collaborations, cross-pollination of ideas, and scaling. Finally, at COP29, AIM for Climate will welcome the last cohort of Innovation Sprint partners. We encourage all stakeholders to join AIM for Climate and consider initiating an Innovation Sprint. Visit the website at www.aimforclimate.org to learn more. The future of food security and addressing the challenges of climate change relies on collective action. I urge each of you to join us in expanding partnerships and investment in climate-smart agriculture and food systems innovation for a more food-secure future for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Adams, for explaining how important innovative and creative approaches across borders really are. And for taking this leadership. I think that what stands out for me after this keynote speak is that it is, we really need to raise the global ambition and drive more and rapid transformative climate actions in all countries, including by enabling science-based and data-driven decision to bolster innovation and policy making. That is key. So initiatives like Aim for Climate is empowering agriculture to be part of the solution to address the climate crisis and create co-benefits of climate action. And this is crucial as agriculture is a significant contributing factor to the greenhouse gas emissions globally. So it really stood out to me how Mrs. Adams emphasized the double win for improving the economics of farming as it reduces the pressure to bring in new lands. I would also like to repeat Mrs. Adams' point of importance of investments, that they have never been more important than now. It is impressive that there are more than 600 partners and 55 governments that have been partnering in Aim for Climate initiative, and that the initiative has succeeded in increasing investments by $17 billion in climate-smart solutions from 2020 baseline. I think that this demonstrates a strong commitment globally. So we need to act now towards lowering the agri-food sector's share of climate impact, and we need to move towards and accelerate our ability to continuously innovate. And let's do just that right here, right now. We will start by discussing the possible actions with our next two speakers, partly from the public sector, and this will be the Danish Foreign Ministry. This is the highest level, and also from the highest level of the private financial sector, the Export and Investment Fund of Denmark. Our guests will share their thoughts on how to ensure continuous innovation and development towards a more sustainable agriculture and food sector. I'm happy that today we have with us Ole Tonke, Undersecretary for Development Policy in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Denmark. Ole has a long career in different positions at the Danish Foreign Ministry and brings in solid knowledge from the public sector engagement in developing countries. Ole has served as Danish ambassador to Kenya, Bolivia, and Pakistan, and has previously headed 3 departments in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Also with us today, we have Michael Sølner, Chief Sustainability Advisor in the Export and Investment Fund of Denmark. Michael has a long career in the banking sector behind him, with several top positions, amongst others, as Managing Director of the Danish Green Investment Fund. Michael brings in a substantive experience with SMEs and an overview of the private sector investment engagement in both the agri-food sector and in innovative scale-up and development-related projects in the Global South. So, I would like to welcome both Michael and Ole. Please join me in here in the studio. Please take a seat.
Thank you.
Good to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's nice that you're here with me. So we have prepared some questions.
Yes.
And first of all, I would like to ask you, Ole, to reflect on the question, what is needed to strengthen the development and delivery of climate-friendly solutions in the agri-food sector globally? I know it's a huge question.
Yeah,
Ole.
I was just about to say that.
And I know we have a short time, but
Yeah.
I also know with your experience, you have some really good reflections on this.
No, thanks a lot, Lise, and also for accommodating this discussion, because I think this is an agenda that we will see more and more of. What I hear at the global level is people talking more and more of this, and for many good reasons. We are going to feed 10 billion people within the next 26 years. We have a challenge in CO2 emissions from our food production, and at the same time we see climate change really being a barrier for a lot of the food production in many of the developing countries that I have lived in. So these three challenges are intertwined, and there's no way around it that we need more investments or money into this. We need more innovation, and we need more international collaboration so that we share all the experiences and all the solutions that is actually already there, but oftentimes difficult to get implemented in the different countries.
Really good start, I think, Ole. Here you already pointed out investment, innovation, and sharing of knowledge. So I'm quite sure we will get back to that again. So, Michael, your considerations. What would be the most important to strengthen this development globally?
I represent the financial sector, both the public and the private sector, and I think that from my platform, I can see the importance of capital as an instrument of changing the sector. We need to invest in the whole value chain. We need new technologies, we need new business models, and for that you need capital. It could be equity, loans, guarantees, or maybe grants. It can be a combination, but we need capital to accelerate the transition. And I think that the financial sector is very much aware of that, and we are trying to be creative and innovative.
And you say it yourself, Michael, so we might need some new models,
exactly,
new instruments from the financial sector, but we will get back to that just shortly. So, Ole, fulfilling your pointing out of more innovation, investment and sharing, the private sector plays quite an important role. And with your experience, how would you say we can involve the private sector even more in moving ahead globally?
I think the private sector is already there because I think many private sector companies see this as an opportunity, which it is indeed. I think we have to divide how private companies operate in our part of the world and the western part of the world and in many of the developing countries, because it's very different realities they meet there. So I think a lot of the innovation and a lot of the large-scale production will happen in our part of the world, but if we do not export that knowledge and expertise to the global south, if I can put it that way, then we will face a major challenge in the decades to come. So I think getting that wave and getting that global collaboration will be absolutely key, and that's in many different areas. And when I listen to the global leaders talk about this, agenda has been increasingly discussed during the COPs, 26, 27, and especially 28, where there was a declaration by the presidency, UAE, that basically, I think 80 countries, all the big food-producing countries actually adopted or signed up to. So everybody agrees that we need to do more on this. Again, in terms of investments, I think only 4% of all climate finance actually goes to agriculture, in spite of agriculture being responsible for 30% of all emissions. So there's also a mismatch there that global leaders are increasingly aware that we need to shift this and do much more on agriculture. And then again, if you see then on the realities on the ground, there are so many solutions out there. New resilient crops, new ways of using fertilizer, new ways of weather warning systems, etc., that are brewing and increasingly coming into these markets. I've seen it in Kenya, where we've had some of these Danish companies actually coming with their solutions and making a huge impact on the ground.
And I would really like to get even closer on the specific cases in just a little while, Ole. But I will invite you, Michael, to share a little bit more on these financial instruments. How can they actually support the transition of the agri-food sector and the value chain of the agri-food sector, as you mentioned?
Yeah, I totally agree with Ole that we need to increase in investments. And the only way to actually do that is then we have to combine green transition, sustainability with good business. And I think capital and the financial sector has a potential to support that. And in IFU, we have just launched actually a new sustainability-linked product where we are trying to combine a more green road for the farmers with economic benefits. We have started with the dairy sector together with Arla Foods, the Danish dairy cooperative, and trying to use their climate check platform where you get some points depending on how green and sustainable you are as a milk farmer. We combine that with also the financial part and actually are prepared to deliver a discount on the loan if you are moving your milk production in a more green sustainable way. So the farmer will get a higher price for his milk, but also get a discount on his loan. And that's how we are trying to combine good business with a more green and sustainable way. And of course, to get more points, to get more green, you need to invest in the value chain, as you mentioned. And we are also prepared to deliver the capital for that. It could be upstream or downstream in the value chain, but we need to invest in the whole value chain to get more green.
And that is certainly very inspiring, Michael, to hear that you are actually having these structures ready or already now. You're just starting, I know, but just to include all our friends listening in today, I'm very humble that we have more than 24 countries represented in our viewers today. Is this a model that you could see develop in a more international scale, or?
Absolutely, because I think it helps with three challenges. One is that the sector need more data. How are we actually performing with the green transition and sustainable development? But we also need to handle new regulations. It could be new reporting requirements, but we also need to find all the way we can improve the value chain. And I think this model actually handles these three challenges. It creates more data because we use this climate check platform. We also make the value chain more green, and by that we also mitigate what I could see could be maybe a risk for taxation of CO2. So I think we can use that platform and scale it up to other sectors. It could be plant production, pig production, and other sectors related to the agri and food sector. So
I think
it's scalable. Absolutely.
We will be several people participating here today following your experiences in the near future with this. That's really interesting. But let's move out, Ole, again to the real life where you have been living for so many years. You have several experiences with specific projects. So it would be really interesting to hear you elaborate a little bit on good examples on where both the financing goes hand in hand with the change towards a more sustainable food value chain in the countries you already mentioned. Could you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, certainly. We have, we have instruments at different level. One instrument is very much a business to business involving civil society model, where we, from the side of Danida, can give grants to companies who work in the green business. An example is Arla Foods, who's done a dairy factory in Nigeria. Where they have both involved a lot of the local farmers in making sure that they increase their productivity, but also that the milk they produce is actually safe to go to the factory and then convert into yogurt or whatever they're producing, and at the same time building the factory. So we have co-financed that startup because it's super risky. It's up in Kaduna state and not something many companies would willingly do without any help or expertise. And then we teamed them up with civil society organizations who know the local environment and knows how to deal with the local communities who actually produce the milk. So that's one example. In Kenya, there's a Danish fruit producer called Orana, who I visited in the field, that needed more organic banana production to fulfill the demand that they had from Denmark. So they have again, through a little bit of seed money from Danida, been able to involve a lot of local communities who produce bananas, given them new seedlings with increased productivity, making sure that they can do it organic, and then make that part of their value chain in Denmark. So it's a win-win both for Kenya, but also for the Danish company as such. So that's very hands-on, concrete examples of how Danish companies actually do a difference in developing countries.
And it sounds very easy, Ole.
Yes.
Has it been walk in the park?
No.
Just very easy?
It is extremely difficult. There's a lot of challenges
What is
the way.
most challenging? Let's take the dairy case. What's the biggest barriers that you're meeting?
I think there are so many barriers from it's an insecure area. Oftentimes you have to connect with the local communities who have very different opinions or level of experience than a new modern factory that needs to meet certain veterinary standards, for instance. Getting all the licenses in place, working with the local authorities, the bureaucracy, corruption, etc., etc. You name it. It is so difficult. Droughts in the area, same in Kenya. Getting the farmers to do it the same way, all of them, etc., etc. It is very, very difficult. And oftentimes what we see is that these projects, they take around a third to double as long time to implement as we had hoped from the outset. But what we also see is that those who keep on and stay at it, they actually have quite a lot to gain in the long run.
So what would you say is the most important key to overcome all these barriers, if you can just draw upon maybe one important aspect?
Stay engaged, but also make sure you are there in the area. I mean, you cannot remote control that from your office in Copenhagen. No. You need people on the ground to actually do this. And I think Another part of what we are doing is a lot of investments from the IFU, who, for instance, just a very good example from India is that they invested in grain storage, exactly, in a company who developed that in India, and the challenge was that the food loss in that sector was around 40%. That was, I think, at least halved just because of these silos. But that's a more hands-off investment, but in local companies who actually try to make a difference in these areas.
And it's interesting that you have both brought in dairy as a case, and I mean it's a really good example that we acknowledge that the sector is contributed to the greenhouse gas emissions. So that is also why we need to work, of course, focused in that area. So Michael, just getting back to you and the Export and Investment Fund of Denmark. So you've been a catalyst for several projects accelerating sustainable development. And as we just heard from Ole, maybe you would also highlight one or two of these good examples of how you collaborate and engage both public and private funding.
Yeah, and as exactly what you said, the private and the public sector needs to cooperate here. Otherwise, we don't get the financial scale we need. And one example of exactly that is a project in Denmark with a company called Enorm Biofactory, and it's a new factory producing alternative proteins from caterpillars or larvae from the black soldier fly. You could call it an alternative source of protein, and we need to do that also to increase the green transition. And what we have done is that we use the larvae or the caterpillars from the fly to produce several products, but proteins. And right now they are building in Denmark the largest factory in Northern Europe that can produce up to 10,000 tons a year of alternative proteins. And I think that's also a way to face the sustainable challenge. And they had to be very innovative and creative. They need to cooperate with universities, with suppliers, with technical consultants, because it's first of its kind. But now they have actually succeeded, and it's scalable, and you can replicate the model, the business model, the production facility all over the world, if you want to do that, to produce alternative proteins.
And was that one of your financial instruments already?
Yeah, so that, in this case, the Export and Investment Fund provided some risk-willing loans together with together with mortgage institutions and banks. So we created a financial model for this new factory, and you need to take a risk, and that's why IFU, as a state-owned fund, can take an active role in building the last financial bridge, because you need to mitigate risk when you are a first mover, as Enorm Biofactory is. Yeah.
So Michael, I know that you have a huge experience working with SMEs.
Yeah.
And you are both mentioning both SMEs and larger multinational companies that you've been working with.
Yeah.
So what do you see as the main differences when you work with different kind of
I think many companies in this sector struggle with the data challenge, as I said, but also new regulations, especially reporting. If you need, and that's the second one. And the third challenge is again, what can we actually do? So my advice to small, medium, and large companies is not to discuss anymore why we have to do it, but how are we going to do it? Build a bottom-up strategy. What can we actually do upstream, downstream in our value chain? Because maybe we can make a transition in the right direction. Maybe we cannot create the perfect solution at the first time, but we can start a process, and I think that's
maybe why our innovation and creativity comes into the picture.
Exactly, because again, we need to cooperate between the private and the public sector, not only on the financial side, but also on the solution side. And I see that it is still a struggle to share these creative and innovative solutions. But we did that in the example I mentioned before,
And that's interesting. It brings us back to your first comment, Ole, on the importance of sharing, actually. So we are about to finalize this round of talk right now. So Ole, maybe you would like to sum up with a good advice to other business leaders, maybe not in the public sector, but in general, in order to motivate others to take action in order to reach the green transformation?
Yeah. At first, it's really funny that Michael, he mentions the black soldier flies, because I actually had it in my notes as well, because as a really good example of innovation, because I have a friend in Nairobi who's actually has started up a production of black soldier flies for fodder in Kenya, which is a huge need, and for me, if we could have some sort of cross collaboration between the Danish producer and the technology and know how they have developed and transfer some of that to a company in Kenya, I think we would come a long, long way. Advice is, I think there will be a lot of push from also the public sector in many countries to do more at a global scale. And I think there will be a lot more willingness, both in terms of practical help from export promoting agencies, etc., for anything on the green transition in food, but also a lot more new financial solutions, easier access to affordable either loans or equity finance. So an advice would be go see. There's a lot of opportunities in many countries, both in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, and there will be a lot of backup in the future from both public sector and civil society to do more of this.
Thank you, Ole. So Michael, getting back to you, what would be your last and good advice for inspiring other business leaders?
My advice is that we know why we have to create this sustainable development. So let's focus on how to do it. And again, it's actually about staying relevant in the future as a company. It is about your competitive edge as a company. You have to focus on what you're doing with your business model. Again, we have talked a lot about the value chain. What can you actually do? Because I think don't look for the perfect solution, but start the process and go bottom up instead of starting at the top level with your strategy. Start with what can we actually do right now to start this process. That would be my advice.
Thank you very much, both of you, for sharing experiences and giving inspiration for other business leaders to take action. This has been very valuable, and thank you for your leadership in pushing the development from each of your areas. This is a really important agenda, and you are both supporting frameworks which are really important in order to make it possible for both SMEs and larger companies to move ahead. It covers both the policy area and also the financial sector. So this enables companies to be innovative and creative. So thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So now I'm honored to welcome our next two guests, and we have been looking very much forward to welcome these next two guests. They have already taken important steps in their respective organizations. They will enlighten us on specific innovations and creative ideas that have led their businesses to success, but also they will share doubts and challenges that are a part of the work. In this fireside talk, we are proud to present a panel featuring a multinational company, Carlsberg, and Unibio, a company which is the result of extensive research and today is a world leader in microbial protein fermentation. Each company represents creativity and innovation from vastly different perspectives. So I would like to introduce Birgitte Skadhauge. She is the Vice President at Carlsberg Research Laboratory, and this has been a part of Carlsberg Group Research and Development. Since 2003, Birgitte has been responsible for Carlsberg raw material research, and in 2011, Birgitte became director for Carlsberg Applied Research. In 2012, Birgitte was appointed adjunct professor at Aarhus University in Denmark, and since 2018, also adjunct professor at Copenhagen University. Since 2014, Birgitte has held a position as vice president for the Carlsberg Research Laboratory. I'm also very pleased that we have with us today David Henström. He is the CEO of Unibio Group, and Unibio is scaling resilient, affordable protein solutions that seamlessly integrate into global food and feed systems. David is an experienced executive with a history of working in specialty food, ingredient health, nutrition, and water industries. Before Unibio, David was Vice President and Managing Director for Growth Ventures and Commercial Excellence in Cargill. David brings in solid experience with working with scaling up innovations in the agri-food sector. So, I would like to welcome Birgitte Skadhauge and David Henström. Please join me. And if you need some water, you're welcome. Yeah. Maybe will you share with Birgitte? I need some. I can feel it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So thank you very much for being with us, joining in this fireside talk. And I would like to start with a question for you, David.
Yeah.
And I would like to ask you, how do we ensure continuous innovation and development towards a more sustainable agri-food sector? Again, a very huge question.
Yeah, I mean, a big question. And one, I was a little bit thinking about going and talking to Mikhail because he's funding these areas. And so I think what we need to do is make sure that we provide opportunities for talent to really jump in to these innovative areas. We think at our company, we're providing, for example, we did a program last year that we started focusing on how many invention disclosures are we filing, how many innovative ideas are coming forward versus the output. So really focusing on the input and creating those ideas leads to opportunities to create and grow the innovative pipeline.
Mm. Good input to start with.
Yeah.
We need to look for the talent.
Yeah.
Mm. Birgitte, what are your initial considerations to this huge question?
Yeah, it is definitely huge, and I fully agree because, innovation is actually going to be absolutely crucial if we are going to solve some of those big global challenges like climate change. There's a growing food population in the world, and we need to secure our food supply. And therefore, I think we need also to see it from two different angles. We need maybe to take a bottom-up look. More from a consumer. Many consumers are actually quite aware and, would like to buy products or to have products, where there is a good sustainability angle on it, where, something that has already been taken care of for them. They do not need to worry if they buy that product. There has already been, a lot of science and innovation that has gone into that. Then there's of course also that combined with the policymakers, because how do we match those two things? Because again, of course, we have global challenges, and how do companies, supply chains actually work in order to really meet those, and how do we measure it? Because people also want something that's credible. I think it's very important that we can measure the impact that we have of some of those innovations as well.
And we will get back to those two angles. I can certainly, from my own point of view, say I feel safe when companies take action for me as a consumer. So I clearly follow your reflection there. So, but David, let's get a little bit closer into Unibio's perspective on innovation and collaboration, because I know it's a core for your business. Could you take us on a journey on how do you work with this in Unibio?
You bet. Maybe we just go back to the beginning of the company. So our founder partnered with the Danish Technical University, which is a great partnership, and it basically took an existing concept of gas liquid fermentation and literally tipped it on its head, and took advantage of, technically speaking, some of nature's forces on having a vertical design versus a horizontal design for the fermentation, which we do. That kind of collaboration between institutions, academic institutions, has also collaboration with partners and customers who have like minds, has been a critical portion of our growth. We continue today, for example, to work with many academic institutions on funding, bachelor's, master's, PhD projects that very much impact our innovative growth, but also impact the development of new talent, because that becomes a pipeline for us actually to hire into the company to continue our innovative journey. And so we found that those partnerships have been very, very helpful on our journey, as well as, again, customer partnerships. We do a lot of trials in different species of fish and other animals, and so we do that in partnership with different ag-food companies. We also have been able to get European grants to help with some of that formulative work on innovating. So I'd say, the public-private partnerships, the customer partnerships have been very, very beneficial for us in our journey to date.
Thank you for highlighting the partnership approach so profound, David, and I'm sure we will follow up on that really important key in order to succeed. So, Birgitte, I know it's, of course, this is also important to you, but to meet the overall strategy of Carlsberg, what's the role of innovation to meet that?
That is actually absolutely crucial because, our consumers are all the time looking for new types of products and new innovations that's meeting their demands. But I think, again, coming back also to the concern about environment, how do we source the raw materials for our products in a more sustainable way so we can do that with a very good conscience. And therefore, it's also, we have a long tradition also in science and in research. And therefore, that's actually an integrated part of Carlsberg's strategy, that we want to use science and innovation to constantly deliver new solutions, more sustainable solutions. Whether it's a new 0.0 yeast that can deliver non-alcoholic products, a new thing or a new trend, which many consumers are aware of, or if it's raw materials that has, heat or drought tolerance where it better can cope with the extreme weather conditions we are starting to see.
Let me just be a little bit more practical because Carlsberg is such a huge company. So as lead for the whole innovation in Carlsberg, do you have like a target saying every month you have to report on new developments, or what's your approach, Birgitte, to this?
Yes, actually, and I would say we are very integrated actually in almost all aspects, of our business, because I would say science is really important here, and we work very, very closely together with our supply chain, the whole end-to-end chain here, because again, like you also said, it's extremely important that we maybe also rethink the process. How can we save water? How can we save energy? many of our businesses and production chains are quite conservative, and we're used to do things in a different way. And I think, innovation and also many of the new thinking that we can bring to the table can actually challenge that, and maybe we can simplify it and we can make products with a much lower impact. And then our marketeer departments are of course extremely interested to, take these things into their marketing campaigns, because, it's actually very good reasons to buy a product if there is also a good story behind how it was produced, linking it all the way out to the farmer, that we also can ensure that he will have a good income at the end of the day.
No, but thank you very much for highlighting the view that you have on the whole supply chain. It's not only the final new product. No, it's for sure the whole production process and the supply chain. Yeah. So getting back to you, David. I mean, your product in its core is a new innovation. And we heard Michael just before also talking about the importance of getting started, not necessarily having the exact product at the beginning, but starting the innovation process. Could you take us a little part of your journey on your development in this area, and maybe just highlight a few of the barriers and how you overcome these barriers in your development?
You bet, happy to do it. I think you're getting after, don't let perfect be the enemy of the good, and get started. And I think that has been, part of Unibio's journey from the inception. And it starts out with, it's gone lab scale production, and then pilot scale production, demonstration, and ultimately some early commercial plants. And with those different phases, you're learning different things about your technology. And, you asked the question about, what are some of the barriers? I think barriers are opportunities that need to be, handled and taken down. I think Michael earlier listed capitalization in the sector of small companies in the biotech world, the seed, venture, early stage growth. That kind of funding and capital is pretty well articulated on what the goals are, what the return expectations are, what risks they're willing to take. Then the late stage, once you have several commercial plants up and running, the unit economics are all proven out. You have infrastructure funds and debt financing, which will come in and take care of that. It's this late stage growth phase that there are different models being developed. Michael referred to one model, which is putting different asset and risk, debt into play, et cetera. And that is an area of capital development that, as we talk with partners on the outside, is really now getting a lot of attention, because the capital needs to really scale out affordable sources of our protein or other technologies. Really need that innovation around that capital structure. And the good thing is there are lots of people and good minds going after this right now to get that bridge between the early stage growth and that late stage growth. So capital is one thing. I would say another opportunity is regulatory harmonization. You have a patchwork of regulatory things when you try to get a new ingredient to market. You have certainly U.S., Europe, pretty well established, some in Asia as well, but there's a patchwork and you have to work through that. More harmonization on the regulatory front certainly would be beneficial to accelerating the transition to more planet-friendly products. And that's, those are probably the two that I would indicate would be the biggest.
Just out of curiosity, David, is it a barrier to attract talent?
That's a great question. I was up at our facility in Kalundborg, where we actually produce protein up there in demonstration scale. And I was having that conversation with some operators after hours, and asking and discussing that. And the thought came to my mind. You have the opportunity, smaller companies, and I've been with big company in the past for almost 30 years, and now with Unibio, And instead of being, you know, a small fish in a big ocean, now you're a bigger fish, maybe in a smaller ocean, but you also have great opportunity to have impact. And when our employees join, the reason they stay and support the impact that we have is that their influence is felt not just in their current role, but across. You know, so we're a small company, their impact can be really, really large. And so we find we get a lot of talent coming to us, even from the bigger companies. My chief technology officer and CSO are both from a very large, well-known Danish company. So, yeah.
Okay, but that's just interesting. So good, 3 good points, which need to be handled all together. Yeah. So Birgitte, you're having the broad picture of the whole supply chain. Could you take us through maybe a few examples of your innovations that really contribute to the green transition?
Yeah, and as I said before, we have maybe tried to challenge the whole brewing process end to end, you know, because there are many, many different steps in the brewing process. That's energy and water consuming, but also time consuming. And how do you then, you know, innovate, you know, in a 5,000-year-old product? Sometimes that can be quite difficult. So you really have to use science. So some of the approaches we have taken here has actually been to really understand our raw materials fully. Genome sequencing of yeast, barley, hops, understanding what all those, you know, elements in our ingredients are doing. And how can we then, through our ingredients, redesign them in such a way that we can actually save water, save energy in our process. And I think there we have been quite successful with many innovations where we have saved energy, we have solved also off-flavor problems or, you know, increased freshness. So there is actually a consumer benefit. But also innovations where we, as I said, you know, could reduce alcohol if consumers would like to have such a choice. So there are many, many different ways if you understand your raw materials on how you can turn it a little bit down and use that science actually to solve some of those problems. The same thing we have done with the more climate tolerant types of crops, not only malting barley, but also other types of raw materials that we are utilizing for brewing, like in sorghum or wheat or barley, making them more climate tolerant with respect to shorter day length. It could be drought tolerance, but it could also be actually open, you know, with very open collaborations. We have a fantastic collaboration, for instance, with Eske Willerslev, who is a DNA archaeologist, and taking, you know, find old DNA from ancient samples, identify climate traits from plants and reintroduce those using conventional or classical breeding methods. That's providing a completely new set of climate tolerance genes which nature actually had made itself back from many thousand years ago. And now today we are able to reintroduce those to make even more climate resilient crops. So I think there are many good examples. And what I want to say here is also, I think partnerships, open source. There's so many things where big companies, universities, and partners can really collaborate. And, you know, if we are a little bit more open, there are still a lot of innovations that companies can use in their product developments and, you know, have an advantage to drive that. But there's certainly also a lot of things that where we can help each other and where we can find a common foot ground to drive it.
So would you say that is critical factors to succeed in innovation? This is a partnership and open source?
I definitely think so. And I encourage really, and I see also there's more and more of that, since we are standing with so big, global challenges, we need to collaborate. We need to find common ways. And I think many food companies could find, a common ground here for driving some of these agendas. And then, of course, at the final part of the product developments, there you can then compete and you can still, have your own products.
Yeah. So both of you actually recognize the fact that Ole from the Foreign Ministry actually addressed that if we want to develop globally, including the challenges the global south is also facing, we need to approach this in a different way. We need to incorporate partnerships and share, have a focus on sharing these innovations in a higher degree. Yeah. Okay, we are moving quickly towards the end of this fireside, and I would love to continue because this is really interesting. But I will ask you, David, to share a best advice to other business leaders who are on this journey of engaging themselves in the green transition.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit on something earlier on, which is don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. And there's, I spent several years in Korea, and there's a ancient Korean or Chinese proverb which says 1,000-mile journey begins with one step. And I think it's taking the right steps in the right direction, and really looking for like-minded partners who want to have impact. I think there's a risk mitigation approach and a risk-taking approach that you have to harmonize with each other, because risk mitigation, there's win-win solutions where you can use stuff more efficiently and save costs, and go through big supply chains like Carlsberg has, another large company has. And there's a risk-taking approach where you step off that ledge a little bit and try to go. So I don't have tremendous advice for business leaders, but just go forward, take action.
Thank you very much, David.
Yeah.
And Birgitte, from your side, what would be your good advice for motivating other business leaders?
Follow your passion.
Yes.
I think, because there's, so many angles to how you can actually make a difference here. And I think, again, encourage people really to collaborate, be more open, talk together, and fantastic initiatives that you're making here, I think today is also something that can inspire a lot of people on, we really need to stand together here and then make it relevant. I think it's absolutely important that it's something, the innovation should have a relevance for the business, whether it's supply chain or it's for consumers or whatever angle it has to resonate, in end to end here.
Thank you very much, both of you, for sharing your insights right here now. Yeah. And not only also sharing good advice on how to move ahead and have the focus on continuously innovation. I think this is what we really feel the importance around. It does strike me that you come from very different companies, types, of course, but your approach to innovation is quite similar. You have to have the passion, you have to be engaged, you have to involve talent and work with the partnerships and not be afraid to share. Yeah. So with these words, I would like to thank both of you for being with us today. And I will be looking forward to continue our discussions.
Thank you very much, Lisa.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So thank you very much to Birgitte and David. So let's conclude from this fireside talk with a very important point in order to answer the questions that we posed in the start of the talk. How business drivers and innovative solutions can accelerate the transition towards a safer and more reliable agri-food system for current and future generations. I think we found out that a key is to make innovation and creativity a core part of a solid business model. It has to be like that. So, during this last hour, we have all been inspired with experience, advice, and solutions that can contribute to the green transition in the agri-food sector. We have heard how innovation, we have heard of how cross-sector and cross-country partnerships and scale-up of investments, both in terms of amount and in terms of time frames, are important tools that companies and governments around the world can use today. It clearly stands out from my conversation with Ole Tonke and Michael Söllner how financing innovation and making sure that financing reaches the places where innovation happens, including the Global South, this is key to achieve the ambitious goals regarding the green transition globally. It is through innovative technologies and creative practices and approaches that we can enhance sustainability, productivity and efficiency of the entire agri-food sector and the whole value chain on a global scale. This is important no matter where in the world you are. I would like to repeat the point of Mrs. Adams, our keynote speaker, who stressed that innovation happens when we come together across borders. Aim for Climate is a great example of taking this knowledge and turning it into actionable opportunities. At the same time, financing was a big part of this global food talk. When we talk about innovation, which is not a part of a maintenance budget, but is financed through risk-taking and venturing out onto unknown territory, the economy becomes much more fragile. But for SMEs and larger companies, it covers both types of companies. So it has been really enlightening to me how ensuring the right finance is to all types of companies. And by institutions like the Export and Investment Fund of Denmark, these institutions plays an important role of driving innovation and driving change. We need to continuously evolve and develop solutions and products and move forward with collaboration and partnerships that strengthen our ability to innovate. I certainly hope that you feel motivated and inspired to take steps for the green transition no matter where in the world you are based. And I hope you have got new knowledge about where and how you can be creative and start innovating. I hope that you will follow Food Nation on our social media and subscribe to our newsletter. This is where we will keep you updated on new activities within the agriculture and food sector. In addition, the Food Nation website has a vast catalog of specific cases from companies that offer solutions applicable all over the world and which meet the pressing challenges that we meet all over the globe. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope to see you again.